In the previous episode of Adventures with Namaste, Katie and Brian run a COVID gauntlet from the northwest to the southwest U.S. to visit family. They get pulled over by an old-school sheriff, they climb Piestewa Peak, and eat the best food Katie has ever eaten. In this episode of Adventures with Namaste, we continue our Great American Desert circumnavigation. We depart Phoenix with mixed feelings, return to one of Brian's early climbing test pieces, wake up in the foothills of Mount Whitney, visit Mono Lake, and decide to take a detour and walk barefoot in the icy winter shallows of Lake Tahoe.
We're leaving.
Yeah, we're going to Joshua Tree, one of my favorite places in the world to hike and to climb. I love Joshua Tree. And my wife has given me a bonus on the trip to get to go to Joshua Tree.
How are you feeling about the trip?
Departures are sometimes tough with families, and saying goodbye to my mom, who is 80 and lives alone. She cried when I touched her because it had probably been since the last time I was here that she probably got touched, and so just to hug her, brings emotion for her because she's lonely. So I'm going to try to come back maybe after she gets the vaccine and the virus is beginning to slow down, so we'll have to make another trip down here. But this time we're going to fly, because we're looking at about a 1,450-mile trip back home. After we stop at Joshua Tree, we're going to do 2 really hard days. How are you feeling about that?
We might end up going to Bishop today if we choose. Then it would be one hard day and one not hard day.
So Phoenix to Joshua Tree, and Joshua Tree up the east side of the Sierras. Also one of my favorite drives in the world. So we're going Highway 51 to Highway 10 and Highway 10 to Joshua Tree.
Nice. All right, let's do it.
Technically speaking, our Great American Desert circumnavigation is a bit misstated. It should be called our Great Western States Desert circumnavigation because the Great American Desert is typically identified as being east of the Rocky Mountains. But we thought our way sounded better, and well, it's our video, and well, you get the point. Our desert adventure is located west of the Rockies and east of the Sierra Nevada Mountains and the Cascade Mountains, comprising 3 distinct desert bioregions: the Great Basin, the Sonoran, and the Mojave Desert. The Great Basin Desert is part of the Great Basin between the Sierra Nevada and the Wasatch Range. It is a temperate desert with hot, dry summers and snowy winters. The desert spans a large part of the state of Nevada and extends into western Utah, eastern California, and Idaho. The Mojave Desert is an arid rain-shadow desert and the driest desert in the North American continent. It is primarily within southeastern California and southern Nevada, and it occupies 47,000 square miles. Small areas extend into Utah and Arizona. Its boundaries are generally noted by the presence of Joshua trees, which are native only to the Mojave Desert. The Sonoran Desert covers large parts of the southwestern United States and Arizona and California and of northwestern Mexico. It is the hottest desert in Mexico, has an area of 100,000 square miles. The western portion of the United States-Mexican border passes through the Sonoran Desert.
inside Joshua Tree, inside the park. I didn't know what to expect, to tell you the truth. I had no idea there'd be this many people and so much traffic. I don't really like that.
Everywhere.
Yeah, but the formations are just amazing. Really cool.
It's like the rocks were just like dropped out of the sky.
Yeah.
Boulders from house size to Astrodome size.
How are they formed?
They were pushed up. They were granite conglomerates.
It's pretty freaking cool.
So we're hiking to Barker Dam in the Wonderland of Rocks. There's a dam that some pioneers made that lived in the desert decades ago. They tried to trap the water to sustain them through the heavy dry spells in the summer. And then after that, we're gonna go check out Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke is this place that 30 years ago, when I was kind of a vagabond climber, I used to come to in the morning after doing a run with my climbing partners, and we would do this traverse. And so I'm gonna see if I can hang on to anything at all, like in the old days.
It's nothing I've ever seen. It's a different type of beauty than us in the Pacific Northwest or even New England. It's amazing. It feels like either you're in a Dr. Seuss movie or you're on a different planet.
I'm really thankful that I got to come and try Gunsmoke. I tried it twice. I got further than the video shows.
Sorry, I missed it.
But it was good. It's been 30 years since I tried that. To come here and experience the desert this way, and the climbing here is just, oh my God, it reminds me so much of my 20s and 30s climbing. It was awesome. Thanks.
Sweet.
We arrived late into Lone Pine and were so glad to find a bed and a pillow. We woke up excited to find out how this day will unfold. The drive along the east side of the Sierra Nevada mountains is in a broad valley situated between the Sierra Range on the west and the Black Mountains and Death Valley on the east. We were both so awestruck with the beauty of the Owens River Valley. It's a high desert, so the trees and landscape have an arid feel to them. The snow on the mountains and the striking relief of the sheer granite faces is stunning. In a very short distance, 64.7 miles to be exact, the lowest point in the U.S. found in the Badwater Basin at minus 282 feet in Death Valley runs to the highest point in the U.S. at the summit of Mount Whitney. Given I spent 4 years of my life in my 20s as an outward bound instructor and a vagabond climber in this mountain range, it felt a little bit like a homecoming. Called the Range of Light by the writer and adventurer John Muir, it runs 430 miles from south to north and is 40 to 80 miles wide.
We drove from Joshua Tree last night to Lone Pine, and Lone Pine is at the base of Mount Whitney. Mount Whitney is the tallest peak in the continental United States. It's like 14,600. We're headed today to Mono Lake, and then from there, probably Klamath Falls, Oregon, en route to our final destination, which is home.
I'm a little tired. I didn't sleep great last night, but I'm kind of excited for today because this is something that I've never seen. So I'm looking forward to the drive. And where are we going today?
Klamath Falls, but with stops at Motto Lake.
Yeah,
Maybe
and some fun things.
My wife continues to indulge me.
Great.
Shots Bakery.
I want to go to the bakery. Do they give shots with theirs?
And we're off.
So we're at Mono Lake outside of Lee Vining, California. This was a lake that in the 1970s was identified as a lake that was actually going dry because of the city of Los Angeles diverted the water, which is like 6 hours away from here. And they were diverting the water, reducing the overall height of the water so that it was actually becoming more and more salty, high alkaline levels. Eventually, there was a conservation association committee that actually preserved it. They were allowed to raise the water level back up, and what was created was this. It doesn't smell very good.
No.
It smells kind of poopy.
Like food.
Lots of migratory birds come here because the shoreline and the shallow waters are actually full of brine shrimp, and so migratory birds come here and love it, even though it smells bad. So this is all salt. Everything that you see that's white is salt. Look at that. Just salt formations because of the high alkaline levels of the lake. These big limestone formations that you see out there have been formed over probably eons of time, and they were left to be exposed after they reduced the level of the lake because of the water needs in Los Angeles County. Apparently there are tons and tons of these big kind of sandstone formations all around the edges of the lake, and they're called tufas. T-U-F-A. Mono Lake was formed at least 760,000 years ago. The lack of an outlet causes high levels of salts to accumulate in the lake and make its water highly alkaline. The desert lake has an unusually productive ecosystem based on brine shrimp, provides critical habitat for 2 million annual migratory birds that feed on the shrimp and alkaline flies. When the thirsty city of Los Angeles, 330 miles away, diverted water from the freshwater streams flowing into the lake, it lowered the lake level, which imperiled the migratory birds. The Mono Lake Committee formed in response and won a legal battle that forced Los Angeles to partially replenish the lake level. The tufa towers that you can see are made of limestone and consist primarily of calcium carbonate. The tufa originally formed at the bottom of the lake. It took many decades or even centuries to form the well-recognized tufa towers. When lake levels fell, the tufa towers rose above the water surface. So we decided to do a detour to Lake Tahoe, and that is where we are, and we're walking out to the lake. There's actual snow on the ground. Okay, here goes. Feet in the water, snow on the ground, Lake Tahoe, end of November. It's cold. Yeah, that's cold. Check out this view. So we're gonna go to this little restaurant, Riva Grill. It's got a nice view of the lake, so we'll see how the food is. Did you guys find anything yet?
No, I saw nails, you know that.
Can it find buried treasure like gold?
No.
No, just... Here we are in Tahoe. Spontaneous move. We were planning a drive to Oregon, but I think we maybe had a few too many to drink, and we did not make a prudent decision, but we made a fun decision.
You too many. I don't know if you would say that.
Well, maybe not for you, but definitely for me. Anyway, we decided to stay in Lake Tahoe because, I mean, how can you go wrong with
Yeah, it's
all of
amazing.
that?
So it's a big deal what we just did. We've yet to finish. We have like 25% of our driving left, but it's a big deal because
And we're doing it in a day.
we drove from Olympia, Washington to Phoenix, Arizona to be with my 80-year-old mother who lives alone and is very lonely. And it's one of the things that you do as a partner is you help each other with these kinds of things. You help each other manage these aspects of life. And it's a big deal that my wife indulged me to help me with my 80-year-old mom. And it's a big deal because our kids went without us for 10 days. Our kids have needs from us, like every family, and they sacrificed to be away from us at the holidays. I'm just grateful that I have a wife that indulges me in that way. Thank you.
I am.
We saw a lot of amazing things.
Yeah, the landscapes were just really pretty in the mountains. And
Almost running out of gas in Rome, and the landscapes, you're right, are amazing.
speaking of which, we need gas.
There are seasons and chapters to one's life. Katie and I took a risk to travel to Arizona to see my mom. Given the risks of COVID and the late season of my mom's life and the many conversations between us, we elected to spend time at the holiday with her. We don't know how many Thanksgivings she will have left. None of us really knows how much time we have left. Although to preserve my mom's privacy, we didn't shoot any footage of her or our time together. It really was a good time with her. Katie and I cooked from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. to make the meal special for her. Given that, this trip represented a living and a giving of life and love to my mom and to each other. Our time was amazing. We had never been on a long road trip together. Countless hours spent in the car was priceless, and although it was all about traveling to give to my mom, it was a lovely time spent just the two of us. We observed and witnessed each other and the majestic and awe-inspiring landscapes of the western U.S. deserts. As this sad and depressing chapter and season of our global community slowly comes to this ending, I'm hopeful of the path forward. Given all the time Katie and I spent sitting next to each other in the car, I'll leave you with a portion of one of my favorite poems by Robert Bly called The Third Body came to mind as we drove. A man and a woman sit near each other, and they do not long at this moment to be older or younger or born in any other nation or any other time or any other place. They are content to be where they are, talking or not talking. Their breaths together feed someone whom we do not know. In the next episode of Adventures with Namaste, Katie and Brian do an early spring shakedown cruise to Hope Island, explore the old Schmidt family homestead, and spend time listening to the quiet in a happy forest. Mono Lake was formed at least 760,000 years ago. The lack of an outlet causes high levels of salts to accumulate in the lake and make its water highly alkaline. The desert lake has an unusually productive ecosystem based on brine shrimp, provides critical habitat for 2 million annual migratory birds that feed on the shrimp and alkaline flies. When the thirsty city of Los Angeles, 330 miles away, diverted water from the freshwater streams flowing into the lake, it lowered the lake level, which imperiled the migratory birds. The Mono Lake Committee formed in response and won a legal battle that forced Los Angeles to partially replenish the lake level. The tufa towers that you can see are made of limestone and consist primarily of calcium carbonate. The tufa originally formed at the bottom of the lake. It took many decades or even centuries to form the well-recognized tufa towers. When lake levels fell, the tufa towers rose above the water surface.